Now to Florence Villeminot, who's going to take us to the international front pages. Morning to you, Flo.
Hello.
Starting off with that very controversial law that was passed in Denmark yesterday, that proposal to confiscate asylum seekers' cash and valuables to pay for their upkeep.
That's right, controversial, huge news in Denmark. Let's look at the Jewellery Post, which looks at the specifics of this law. So the police are going to be able to seize valuables worth more than 10,000 kroner, that's about 1,340 euros. This to cover housing costs, food costs. You can see this quote here. It says that asylum seekers' jewelry must also cover the cost of doctor's visits. And the man you can see in the photo there is the Prime Minister of Denmark, Lars Løkke Rasmussen. He's quite in the spotlight today. The government's argument in all this, must be said, is that this measure, this law, will ensure equality between Danes and asylum seekers.
Well, this so-called Jewellery Act has drawn a lot of criticism, even though it's not the only country that has a similar sort of legislation.
That's right. If you take a look at another Danish paper, Berlinsk, it focuses on the fact that Switzerland actually has a similar law that requires asylum seekers to hand over assets worth more than 900 euros. Now, this Swiss law has only been applied in about 100 cases out of almost 30,000 asylum applications last year. So why is Denmark getting the battering in terms of reputation? This article says there's clearly been a mismanagement at the top level of Danish authorities. Didn't they see this negative publicity coming? But it must be said that lots of Danish politicians are also very critical of this new law. If we go back to the Jyllands Posten, they're actually interviewing this man, Jens Rohde. He's an MEP for the Danish Social Liberal Party. He's often been very critical of Rasmussen's immigration policy, and in particular this jewelry law. He says it's a petty law that is only going to weaken the rights of the weakest people in the world right now.
Well, the prospect of refugees having those possessions sees has drawn comparisons, of course, to the Nazis confiscating Jews' jewellery during World War II, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Let's take a look at a cartoon in The Guardian today, the British paper, with very harsh comparison here. You can see this is Rasmussen here depicted as a Nazi. It's offensive to compare us to the Nazis. Venestra there is the name of his party. And you can see, you can just make it out there. It says probably the stupidest political party in the world. So quite a lot of criticism there in The Guardian. Another cartoon, this time in The Independent, another British paper. They're lashing out in the cartoons today. You can see the Little Mermaid, the very famous landmark in Copenhagen, with a sign there at the bottom that echoes the poem that's actually on the Statue of Liberty in the United States. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free, and I'll lift their wallets, jewels, gold teeth, and more. You can see that Little Mermaid looking quite nasty with a pincher there and a gold tooth in it.
Okay, well, staying with the refugee crisis this week, several EU interior ministers have threatened to expel Greece from the passport-free Schengen zone.
That's right. Putting Greece in quarantine is not the solution to the refugee crisis. That's what the Independent, and it says it today in its editorial. This is not exactly the right editorial, but you can check it out in the Independent. The Independent argues that excluding Greece from the Schengen zone is really ignoring the reality on the ground, and that's the fact that Greece really doesn't have a choice but to accept this wave of migrants. The only alternative is to bring out the Navy and essentially let all these people drown. Now, what's interesting is a lot of Greek citizens in particular have drawn praise for the way they've reacted to the migrant crisis. If we take a look at an article in Katamerni, that's a Greek paper, the English language version, they're focusing on a campaign to actually nominate Greek islanders from the Eastern Aegean for the Nobel Peace Prize for their reaction to the refugee crisis, their contribution. You can see this famous photo of several Greek islanders fishing migrants out of the sea. Now, what's interesting is this online campaign has actually passed the symbolic halfway mark. Its target is to reach 500,000 signatures, and it's halfway there.
Okay, meanwhile, British graffiti artist Bansky, he's back in the spotlight for his criticism of France's approach to the migrant crisis.
That's right. His latest piece of work is in London, just outside the French embassy there. If we take a look at an article in the Daily Beast, you can see a photo of it there. It depicts Cosette, the famous little girl from Les Miserables, and you can see her crying there in a cloud of tear gas. So critical of what's going on in Calais right now. And what's interesting is just a few weeks ago, a Banksy mural appeared in Calais, in the jungle. And you can see, if we can see a photo of it, it's the Apple founder Steve Jobs, who Banksy reminded people is actually the son of a Syrian migrant. And he appears here on the wall of a tunnel in Calais. Now, a lot of articles are saying this is Banksy strikes again. If we saw that article in the Daily Beast saying that his art is really a deadly political weapon, he's often been critical of Europe's migrant policy, and here he is striking again, raising awareness. What's interesting is this a photo of his piece has really gone viral. A lot of people are commenting on it on social media, so it appears that he's once again raising awareness in this crisis.
Thanks very much for that, Flo. Lots to chew over in the papers. I want to thank Florence Villeneuve for the press review.